My name is Tom Chi. I've spent the last 2 years being the head of product experience for Google X, a special division of Google that works on advanced hardware that could, the minimum bar is that it needs to be able to change the world. Though actually most recently I'm on hiatus because I want to go engage in an experiment that's got two parts to it. One is working with social entrepreneurs around the world directly to accelerate their businesses. And then the other part is to reinvent entrepreneurship itself by starting 10 businesses myself in the next year. So I'm on 2.5 right now, so I'll tell you about number 2 and 3 if you're interested. So number 2, we incorporated 3 weeks ago, and we are looking at making the process of finding quality talent and engaging with them for the first time about 1,000 times faster than it is today. So literally, I should be able to tell you, hey, you need a marketing person. Well, open up this app and you should be able to find 10 quality marketing people within 10 minutes. That's our bar. The third one that we're just about to start is, and this is different teams, I'm working with tons of different teams for all of this stuff to happen, is I'm working with the group in Georgia Tech who did a lot of research on a special type of glove. And the glove has got these little sort of impulse, things, almost like the little buzzer inside of a cell phone. And what that does is it allows you to go buzz each one of the fingers independently, because there's 5 buzzers on the glove. Now, it sounds totally random, but they had done research that showed that if you listen to music, like let's say you're listening to a song, a song that's being played on piano, and then they buzz the fingers that you would need to strike on the keyboard in order to play that song. When you then come in front of a keyboard to go learn that song, you learn dramatically faster. Another thing that they found out, which I think is actually much more exciting, is the woman that was doing this for her PhD research, she's military, and she actually left, after she finished her PhD very recently, just a couple months ago, she went to West Point to be career military, because that was always her plan. And that left the research there, but because she was military, she was very interested in helping veterans. So in a follow-up study, they recruited 7 folks that had spinal cord injuries. And in a spinal cord injury, it's a situation where your hand is still there, but like the nerves might be severed, your muscles are all there, but you can't control them, you may not have any sensation in your hand, so on and so forth. So they did a follow-up study with 7 folks that had spinal cord injuries, and within about a month of wearing this device and using it in a therapeutic fashion, they were able to get, 2 of them were able to regain the ability to use their hand in some way. That's already mind-blowing. That was the stuff where it's like, this needs to be a product. The other 5, they actually got improvements as well. Not quite as dramatic, but they started to have sensation in their hands again. That meant if somebody touched their hand, or if they put their hand near something hot or dangerous, they could start to feel that and do the right response in both cases. And that's a real problem for people that either have a loss of a hand because of a stroke, because you'll get brain damage that prevents you from being able to use your hand, or from spinal cord injury. Like your hand basically becomes a brick. Like you might put it into a grill, or you might bump it into something sharp without even knowing it. And because of it, these folks oftentimes end up losing their hands anyhow, even though all the biological hardware is just fine. So we're hoping that with this company, we'll be able to create this sort of therapeutic glove to be able to help folks with stroke and spinal cord injury recover partial to full use of their hands. Yeah, the Google Glasses. So it's a really fun thing in that, I actually started working on it over 2 years ago, and it's only just now that the world is finding out about it. So to me, it's almost like it's a historical thing to just go back and reminisce, because for me it was years ago. But I think it is something that could be a significant revolution in computing. Now, is the first version going to sell millions? I can't really speculate. I think it's going to have an adopter curve. It's going to take a little bit of time. But from the experience of developing it, from the experience that I had using it, I can say for certain that there were, 5, 6 breakthrough experiences where there's no way that you could have done it on any other hardware platform, and those experiences are a thing that are here to stay.
Tell us what it does.
So what it does is it is a heads-up display, which is a very techie term to say it's a display that can float in front of your eye. Now the display is see-through, so I can still see my entire world around me. And when there's nothing on the display, basically the world looks as normal. But whenever I want to, digital information can come up inside of that display and either inform me about what's happening in my world or overlay on top of things that are in my environment. And it also has a forward-looking camera and microphone. So one very exciting thing, and this was demoed at Google I/O, so I'm very comfortable sharing it, is when you have a camera that's positioned pretty much exactly where your eye is, and I think you can appreciate this as somebody that does film, like it sees what you see. And all of a sudden when you take a picture in a way where you see exactly what you see, there's something that's so like human about it. Everything about that feels like you're in the place that the person was at that point. It doesn't feel as composed. It feels candid at a level that is beyond what photographers call candid. That's pretty amazing. So in Google I/O they had 5 skydivers jump out of the thing, all wearing the thing, so we could actually see through their eyes as they were soaring through, spiraling across each other and landing on top of the Moscone Center. It was a little bit of a stunt, but it all got pulled off pretty amazingly, and I think it could start an entire new industry around people being able to see through each other's eyes. So imagine, like, for a moment I'm an adventurer, and like I actually just want to see what it looks like to ride an enormous enormous wave on a surfboard. Well, I may never be able to do that myself, but somebody who wears these glasses just does that and shows me, and I can feel it. I'm there. Right? You can't get a camera in there in any other way. Another thing is, like, let's say, I'm a great hardware designer. I'll pretend I'm great at hardware for a second. I'm not too bad. But, and you're somebody who's in school trying to learn how to do hardware. Well, if I can see through your eyes, like what your circuit looks like, what you have on the oscilloscope, I can literally tell you, hey, tweak the scope to so-and-so. Okay, and then go back here and put the probe on the left lead. Bam. Okay, what you've got a parasitic capacitance. Remove that capacitor up top. Now that's something that would be impossible to do if I wasn't there in person. And it's something that's very awkward to do with like some separate webcam where I'm trying to do this over here. When I see through your eyes, the motion of your head tells me what you're paying attention to. That's a thing that a camera doesn't do. I could have like a big wide screen thing showing that same workbench, but I couldn't tell where you were looking. So, as you're looking around, I can literally say, oh, actually a little bit more to the left. Okay, yeah, that's it. Bam. So I think, I don't want to ramble on forever about all the things that I felt were breakthrough type experiences, and some of them are still secret, so that's a little bit of a bummer. I can't share them with you yet. But there was enough in there where I was like, this thing's going to have legs. Yeah, so rapid prototyping, a lot of these things like are super new, but they're also, for me, it's like a walk down memory lane. I actually developed my methodologies around rapid prototyping before I was at Google even. I was at Yahoo, and I was executive in the search team, running a 50-plus person team and a multi-billion-dollar business. And just like any large corporation, Yahoo's a Fortune 500 company, it just moves slowly. So like I got frustrated with that, and I said, well, how do we keep on changing the way that we work together so the best of the best things happen in the least amount of time? So the rapid prototyping methodology was actually originally created for software. Now, when I went to Google, I was like, this works so well in software, why don't I just give it a shot in hardware? That's why on that first day when I said, let's do 15 hardware prototypes per week, it's because at Yahoo we could do 15 software prototypes a week by the time I had worked with that team in that way. Now, that was totally a gamble. I had no idea whether it was going to work for hardware. But 10 weeks later, I was pretty certain that this thing was, the methodology itself was deeper than just another software process. And last summer I got a chance to go work on it with the Unreasonable Institute for Entrepreneurship. And it did some tremendous things for a business model design. And it's like, well, if it works for software, and it works for hardware, and it works for business model design, why don't I use it to reinvent entrepreneurship, which is my current thrust, basically.
Excellent.
That's
excellent.
Great. And we are just about out of tape. Just a couple of
no, we're all right.
Nope,
okay.
we're at 0.
Okay, I think you're right.